check. Sorry. Okay. طيب. Okay. بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه. All praise be to Allah, may Allah's peace and blessings be upon His Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and those who follow in his footsteps till the last day. Last time we talked about al-am. Okay. So al-am is the general term that encompasses everything it calls for, okay? And we have certain terms that would tell us, whether this is general or specific, okay? And for example, I'll just give you, there are some terms like al, which is the article they or there in English. It denotes generality. So if you say the humans, okay, the human being, it's very general. It includes every human being, whatever his race, whatever his color, whatever his country, whatever his language, okay? If you say, for example, al-rusul, because he said here, al-jam' al-mu'arraf, bi-al, okay? If you say al-rusul or al-mu'minun, it means all of the messengers, and it does not exclude any part of that, okay? Now, if we say al-rasul, we say al-rasul, singular, it could mean what? Rasul, actually here it's general again, because we are not speaking about specific, messenger unless we had mentioned the name or we had put it in a context. For example, al-Rasul al-Ummi. Now we made it more specific to be Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. If we say Inna Allah wa malaikatahu yusalluna ala nabi. So the term wa malaikatahu, because inna here, Inna Allah wa malaikatahu. Malaika here are the angels, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, verily Allah and his angels. So it is, in additive form, okay? We say in Arabic, معرف بالإضافة, okay? So there is تعريف بالإضافة, but it is a general term because it is plural, okay? When we say, in the al-mufrad, the singular, when it has al, again, it comes sometimes, to be so general. So if you say, as the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, إذا استهل المولود ورث. If the, born, okay, if he was just delivered, the mother delivered, and he yelled, he, put out a sound that he's living, then he becomes one of the heirs. So al-mawlud here is not specific, born, but it is general, okay? Here also, if we say مطل الغني ظلم, مطل الغني ظلم. مطل الغني, this is also, إضافة. مطل is مضاف and الغني is مضاف إليه, okay? So it becomes so general, okay? And these are some of the terms that when the singular term in Arabic, it takes, the a general notion, so it is not specific and it's not خاص, so it is عام. أسماء الشرط is the فمن شهد, من وما, okay. من شهد, it means whoever, witness the month. So whoever heard فمن شهد منكم الشهر فليصوم, it does not specify any one. It is actually a general term for everyone who witnessed the commencement of the month of Ramadan. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to prolong our lives in Ramadan. Allahumma ameen. Now, ما وما تفعلوا من خير. Okay. ما here also اسم من أسماء الشرط, and it is conditional actually noun. This conditional noun من. Whatever of goodness you do, whatever you do of goodness, Allah knows about it. So وما here is a general term. It does not specify anything, specifically. Okay. So we have the singular, which is, declared with the article L, and it is definitive form of singular, definitive form of, plural, and the conditional nouns. And we have al-asma al-mawsula, the pronouns, okay, the pronouns that, refers to someone. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He said, وَلِلَّهِ يَسْجُدُ مَنْ فِي السَّمَاوَاتِ وَالْأَرْضِ. For Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala prostrate that which, okay, man. Okay, man means الذي here in Arabic. So everything in heavens and in earth prostrate itself for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ مَا وَرَاءَ ذَلِكُمْ. وَأُحِلَّ لَكُمْ مَا. Okay, this is also, it could mean الذي. أُحِلَّ لَكُمْ الذي وَرَاءَ ذَلِكَ. Okay, so ما here is a pronoun, okay, and it has the connotation of generality. It does not, it includes every thing that comes underneath it. Okay. الذين واللاتي is the same. Okay. والذين جاهدوا فينا لنهدينهم سبلنا. So those who, did struggle for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will guide them to His path, to the right path, to His right ways. And here, وَالَّذِينَ, it does not, mean the Sahaba only, or the Arabs, or everyone who would do his best to struggle and to do his effort to reach, the guidance. جاهدوا فينا means he's trying to get closer to Allah. Allah will guide him. Okay, and most of the people whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guides their heart to Islam, you will find them trying their best, to know, and they struggle too much to learn which is the right deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is a great, rewarding for the efforts of the believer. And a believer should not feel down, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has mentioned that if he does his best in endeavors you do, Allah will not miss you anything of that. Rather, Allah will guide you to the right path, as long as the one is doing it for the sake of Allah and for His cause. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us amongst the believers. And this ayah is the last ayah of Surah Al-Ankabut. And at the beginning of Surah Al-Ankabut is the test. ألف لام ميم أحسب الناس أن يتركوا أن يقولوا آمنا وهم لا يفتنون. and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned the fitna that people would say that they are believers and they will be left for that. No, rather there will be a test. However, so it needs, to exert your efforts, your best. And this deen needs sacrifices. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, first of all, to save us, from from the wickedness of our own selves and the evil of our deeds and the shaitans. He said here, asma al-istifham, okay, the nouns that denotes, questioning or question, you can say quest nouns, aina, mata, ma, man. All of these are regarded from the terms that denotes generality. Okay, so من يعذرني من رجل بلغني أذاه في أهلي. The Messenger ﷺ, when he had encountered, the ifk, the slander of the mothers of the believer Aisha and his wife, ﷺ, and he ﷺ once, went to the pulpit and he said this, he mentioned this, من يعذرني. So من يعذرني is, it's general. He is not specifying anyone who would, give me, permission, or give me, who would give me the relief from such a person who had, slandered my family or my household. ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا? Okay, so this is من يعذرني, who would excuse me or would, take, my right, or leave me to take the right, or so, like this. ماذا أراد الله بهذا مثلا? This is a question Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in Surah Al-Baqarah, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned that when he sets examples or set parables, some people would question and say what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wanted and desired or intended with such parable. So ماذا in general term. متى نصر الله? When is the victory of Allah or his support? Again, it gives us, the generality. أين? Okay. أين? قالوا أين ما كنتم تدعون من دون الله? Where is those whom you used to pray and supplicate and invoke besides Allah? So it denotes generality. It does not specify whether this is the called ones, where the angels or the prophets or the idols or human beings or devils. Okay, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. The ulama also said from the terms that denotes generalities are the النكرة في سياق النفي. So when you have a word that's not definitive, it is given, it is not specified. Okay, so they call it a nakira when the context is negation. When there is a negation, this negation of a word that's not definitive, it makes it a general. So Allah, the Messenger ﷺ, in the hadith, he said, لا وصية لوارث. There is no wasiyah, there is no bequest for who? For one of the heirs, or for those who inherits. Also, النكرة في سياق النهي. When the Prophet ﷺ said, لا تقتلوا شيخا فانيا. Do not kill, an old age. Okay, he's not fighting. Okay, so this nahi means every single one. It's general. Okay, لفظ كل. Okay, when there is in the context كل, it means all. So it includes all, all things. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, كل شيء هالك إلا وجهه. Everything would perish except his face subhanahu wa ta'ala and him, glory be to him. So كل here is everything. And Allah خالق كل شيء. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the creator of everything. So everything other than Allah is included there and it is created. جميع, the word جميع هو الذي خلق لكم ما في الأرض جميعا. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created for you everything on earth, خلق لكم ما في الأرض. He has created for you what's on earth, all, okay, all together, جميعا. So جميعا here includes all of the what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created. And this must be realized and known to us. These are usually the general, what you can say, terms that would specify generality to anything. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, الإنسان here, we can say it is جمع معرف. So it is a plural and it's defined plural. It means all, okay? طيب. Now, there are some notes that we should realize, okay, when we talk about al-umum, okay? al-ahd, the ulama, they said there's al-istighraqiya and there's al-ahd. There's that connotes, okay, comprehensiveness. And there is another that connotes, or it points to something that was mentioned, okay? And for example, in singular, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in Surah Al-Muzammil, فَعَصَى فِرْعَوْنُ الرَّسُولِ. So Pharaoh, he disobeyed the messenger. Al-Rasul here, we definitely know that what Rasul definitely is Musa alayhi salam. Okay, so nobody would doubt that Fir'aun, denied or disobeyed Musa alayhi salam, and Harun alayhi salam is included with Musa because he was with him. In the plural, إن الناس قد جمعوا لكم. Okay, verily people had, made their minds and they had prepared themselves, to fight against you or to come back to eradicate you. It's the meaning of the ayah. And this was after the Battle of Uhud, where the kuffar had been, leaving. And when they were leaving, it popped in their mind that why we didn't, exterminate and, killed Muhammad and his companions since we got the victory, the last round. So they made their minds and the result to go back to Medina and fight the Prophet ﷺ and, or at the field of Uhud. And this ayah, إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ, it was, though it seems general, but it was specific to Abu Sufyan, who was the commander of the disbelievers at that time. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, granted him Islam after conquering Mecca. And their preparation to fight against the Prophet ﷺ and the companions, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala had said, إِنَّ النَّاسَ قَدْ جَمَعُوا لَكُمْ. So the الناس here is plural, but al here meant Abu Sufyan and his people. Again, we say that sometimes Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as will come with us inshallah later, he might mention something its pronunciation, it's termed in a general way, but its meaning, is specific. And Allah knows best to give that ruling, more generality, because this ayah would be also valid for any time if people would prepare for the believers. He said الجمع المعرف بأل جميع أنواعه تفيد العموم. So in general, okay, the definitive plural, if it is defined with al, all of its kinds, it conveys the general or العام, يعني the generality. So اسم الجنس الإنسان الحيوان الدواب, these are the name of a kind or a specific species of creation. Al-insan, it is so general. Nobody can say al-insan means specific one. Al-qawm, okay. Al-qawm is a noun that connotes plural noun. Al-qawm, it does not specify one of them, all of them, the tribesmen or the people of a clan or something like this, or anyone who has a people or followers, he might say that this is the term al-qawm, ya qawm. Every prophet was sent to his people, specifically to his qawm, as the Prophet mentioned, كل نبي أرسل إلى أو كل رسول أرسل إلى قومه, يعني خاصة, was specifically sent to his own people, قوم, okay? Except for the Messenger ﷺ, he was sent to all human beings, men and jinn. جمع التكسير, okay? الذنوب, okay? الذنوب. So it does not, exclude any sin, all sins. Okay, this is المؤمنات, المؤمنون, okay? المؤمنون والمؤمنات جمع المؤنث السالم. All of these, جمع المؤنث السالم, جمع المذكر السالم, المؤمنون, المؤمنات, all of this connotes general terms. It does not, when you say المؤمنات or you say المؤمنون, you cannot say that it excludes, any one of them. Okay, now كل encompasses everything. Okay, so whether and it was mentioning singles, okay, يعني كل الطلاب, كل الناس, كل الناس يغدو. The Prophet ﷺ in the hadith, he said كل الناس يغدو. So it does not exclude any one of the people. All people, they go early in the morning. So where they go? They go out, they set out from their homes for their own earnings, for their own, whatever, after their, livelihood, or after their desires, or after, their wickedness. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. So the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, كل الناس يغدو فبائع نفسه فمعتقها أو موبقها. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. A person would sell himself, and he would emancipate her from hell, from sins, and another one who would destroy and destruct, may Allah save us. He would rather, sit out for his own destruction. So, kul, it conveys, and the general meaning, for every single. Jami', it conveys the general terms in a way of congregation. Okay, and if someone, for example, says, like the example, here for لكل ناجح 1000 ريال. For every, for every success, for everyone who passes the test, okay, he will get 1000 riyals. This is the meaning, okay. While if it was said لجميع الناجحين 1000 ريال, لجميع الناجحين, for all those who passed the test, okay, who wins, or who, is 1000 riyals. This means all of them will share in the 1000 riyal. Whilst for every one person who passes the test is 1000 riyal. This is, for every single one. Okay. These are the, what we wanted to mention about, alfaz al-umum in general. And there is, some kinds of generalities that we need to look into. Okay. يعني العام, it has kinds. So sometimes there is عام which is intended to be عام. Okay. So there is, it cannot be said that it is, specific. Where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَمَا مِن دَابَّةٍ فِي الْأَرْضِ إِلَّا عَلَى اللَّهِ رِزْقُهَا. So dabba here is general. So it does not connotes, for example, dromedaries or specific animals. Rather, it includes all what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, made to crawl and to walk on the surface of this life and even underneath. Okay. عام أريد به الخصوص. Sometimes there is a general that would mean, it would give, what I can say, specific meaning. Okay. And this is according to the context. Okay. Like, وَلِلَّهِ عَلَى النَّاسِ حِجُّ الْبَيْتِ مَنِ اسْتَطَاعَ إِلَيْهِ سَبِيلًا. So there is sometimes this عام is meant to be specific, no doubt. Okay. And there should be something in the context, to tell us that, what it meant. So it's general, like الناس here, ولله على الناس. Okay. حج البيت. So it's general, الناس. But we come to realize that الناس here means the believers, the Muslims. Okay. Not all of the people, even the kuffar. Okay. And this is actually through the legal context, we come to realize that. Because the Messenger ﷺ said and banned, the kuffar and the mushriks to attend Hajj after the 10th, of Hijrah. Okay. And there is also a reasoning behind reasonable context or intellectual context. You can say qarina. We can say intellectual, reason. And this is legal reason. ما كان لأهل المدينة ومن حولهم من الأعراب أن يتخلفوا عن رسول الله. Okay. We would realize that here أهل المدينة, all of the people of Medina, and we know that, our reasoning, through our reasoning, we know that it was not fitting for the people of Medina, but it excludes the children, okay, and the women and those who are disabled. Okay. Okay. We realize this. So Ahlul Medina is general, but we know it meant specific. Those warriors who are able and can afford, to go to the expedition. Okay, because as we know and as we realize, the Prophet ﷺ had given permission to those who had, who came weeping that they didn't have means, to buy weapons and to buy horses. to be with him sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given them permission. Rather, the Sahaba who were having the ability and they lagged behind, they were reprimanded. The three who had lagged behind the Battle of Tabuk. We have also, Am Mutlaq. This is a general that cannot. Okay, well, we will leave this part next week, inshallah, because I don't want to take much of your time at the first class, inshallah, because these informations are a bit involved and we need to digest them. And whenever we come to the ayat and recite, let's bother and try to look into this. Today, let's go over. Yes. You said which page we were on, in Sheikh?
116, Sheikh.
Okay, 116. Okay, Jazakallah. طيب. Here 116, the general statements, okay, or law, is important, not the specific reason why it was laid down. Okay, يعني the ulama, they said العبرة بعموم اللفظ لا بخصوص السبب. Okay. طيب. Let's read. If we can tackle it now or next week, inshallah, we'll go over it. Okay.
I'll read, Sheikh.
Yes, go ahead, read.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. The general statement or law is important, not the specific reason why it was laid down. If a general word is mentioned for a particular reason, its generality still remains. It is in the form of a question or not. For example, it has been reported that the Prophet ﷺ passed by a dead goat belonging to Maymuna radiallahu ta'ala anha and said, إِذَا ذُبِغَ الْإِهَابُ فَقَدْ طَهُرَ, which means whichever animal's skin is tanned, it becomes pure. And another proof is that the Sahaba used to act in accordance with general statements having specific reasons, and there was no difference in that. The clearest proof on this is the Ansar who kissed a woman not related to him. The verse on Surah number 11, verse 114 was revealed for him. Innal hasanati yudhibna sayyi'at. It translates, from those things that are good, remove those that are evil. He asked the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam on the law governing this verse, was it meant for him alone, as he said, Ali hada, is it for me alone? The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam gave a reply which referred to the generalization of the entire ummah when he said, لِجَمِيعِ ummati kullihim. It is for my entire ummah. This is also clarified linguistically. If a woman says to her husband, divorce me, and he divorced all his wives, then all of his wives are divorced, and not the one who sought for it alone. Application of a general law on an individual will not...
Just
Okay.
جزاك الله خير. طيب. This, again, it's a rule, and this rule must be observed, in the ahkam. Whenever someone, for example, delves in studying fiqh and trying to conclude the rulings from Quran and Sunnah, he has to look into the generalities of the statements rather than the specific reason behind saying such. And this shows us how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made his deen so comprehensive. So if, as we mentioned before, even the saying to the Prophet ﷺ, is an order, if the order is to the Prophet ﷺ, then Ummah is included, okay, in it, unless we know that it is something, you know, it was directed to the Prophet ﷺ, and it is specialized, specifically or peculiarly, you know, made his duty. Like, you know, we know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made, you know, the Qiyamul Layl, you know, obligatory on the Ummah at the beginning, and then it was abrogated, except for the Messenger ﷺ, it was an obligation and a duty upon him ﷺ. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned, you know, وَمِنَ اللَّيْلِ فَتَهَجَّدْ بِهِ نَافِلَةً لَكَ. So from the night, you know, فَتَهَجَّد, you have to pray, you know, at night after you sleep, you get up to pray, نَافِلَةً لَكَ, this is for you, okay? So nobody would think that it is a must on the whole Ummah. Now, here the Prophet ﷺ passed by Maymuna, and he found a goat, a dead goat, and he told her to get use of its, you know, skin, okay, to take it as, you know, a container for water, okay, we call it qirba, okay, or shan. She said it's dead or something like this. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, whichever animal's skin, if it is, when it is tanned, then it becomes pure. So it was specifically to this dead goat, but the term here is so general. Whichever animal's skin is tanned, okay, it becomes pure. So we come to realize that, you know, so it was, you know, the Prophet ﷺ mentioned this hadith to this specific reason or this specific goat, but the ruling here is general for the whole Ummah. And nobody can say, no, this is specifically to the dead goat. And another proof is that the Sahaba used to act in accordance with the general statements having specific reasons, and there was no difference in that. Okay. The clearest proof is the hadith that he mentioned when this person, Ansari, okay, it's better to write Ansari with I here, you know, one of the Ansar, you know, he had entered into a garden, and, you know, when a person comes in contact with a woman, especially, you know, in seclusion, it would be a fitna, and we have to avoid, you know, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, never it happened that, you know, a man and a woman would be in a seclusion, but the third would be the shaitan. And some people, they claim and they, you know, raise the banner that, you know, you should trust, you know, this woman, you know, should be trustworthy, and the man is trustworthy. We say, even though if they are, you know, the huffaz, the memorizers of the Quran, you know, they should not do a seclusion, because the third is not, you know, a trustworthy. The third is the shaitan, and shaitan might entice them to do something bad. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us. And every person of us knows from himself, you know, that it is difficult for a person to be with a woman, you know, in a seclusion, and there would be no, you know, whisperings of the shaitan or inclination from the erring soul towards, you know, doing something bad. So this Ansari entered, and he found this woman, and, you know, the shaitan will beautify her, beautify the woman, even if sometimes a person thinks that she's, you know, normal, or she's ugly, or she's not adorned, okay, not having any makeup. She might be, you know, adorned and showed to him as very beautiful and appealing, okay? And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us of that. Then he kissed this woman, and he made salah with the Prophet ﷺ, and he, after the salah, he mentioned to the Prophet ﷺ what he did, and the Prophet ﷺ told him, have you done the salah with us? He said, yes. He said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this ayah, إِنَّ الْحَسَنَاتِ يُذْهِبْنَ السَّيِّئَاتِ. So that sins he made was, removed by such hasanat he did in Salah. This Sahabi, may Allah be pleased with him, thought this is, specifically for him. Okay, and he said, "Is it for me alone, O Messenger of Allah?" And the Prophet ﷺ, he said, "No, rather it is for the whole Ummah." And in one of the narrations, Umar got so angry about that, and he said, he is doing bad, and he wants, to monopolize, the goodness for his own self, So no, rather it is for the whole Ummah, al-Hasanat with Ibn Sayyad. And here it shows us, the generality of al-Hasanat with Ibn Sayyad. He didn't mention that for this Ansari, whatever he did, it removed his sins. Okay, so it was a general in a sense, but this Sahabi thought it is specifically for him alone. While it was when Allah revealed it, He revealed it in a general sense. He said also this is clarified linguistically. If a woman says to her husband, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us, and requested divorce, and he instead of divorcing her, he said all of his wives are divorced, then it won't actually go for this woman who requested such divorce. Rather, it will include all of his wives, if he has wives other than her under his custody at that time. And one should be careful, because divorce is not something, to joke about. It happened that a person, he sent his wife, an SMS, joking with her, I divorced you, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say this. And he thought it's a joke, And this woman got so angry, and when she asked the alim, he said, that divorce had, passed, and you are divorced. Okay, so a person should not play with such divorce, and this matters. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from that. Again, the point here is the generality of all. When he said he divorced all means all of them, including that which requested the divorce and others. Okay, and may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala save us from such a person. Sometimes would say generalities, and he finds himself and puts himself in what you can say trial or temptation, or he would make it difficult on him to return woman back, his wife back, or his wives. We'll stop here, inshallah. If you have questions, you can open your mics and ask questions. If there is no questions, then inshallah we'll conclude our class today.
Sheikh, on the case of divorce like that, I come across, Sheikh, some of the, especially the Arabs, they say, if you don't do this, I will divorce my wife. They are using it very casually. We had a dealer in Syria. Our CEO went there, and this man brought some gift to him, Sheikh, in a box, valuable gift, and he refused to accept it. And he told me, if you don't take this, I will divorce my wife. So when people say like that, how do you take this, Sheikh, in terms of the Sharia?
Yeah. First of all, the ulama usually look into this case that first of all, it is no doubt it's foolishness. Why a person would go and do that? And I'll give you a story that it happened really like this. A person had received guests, okay? And when they came to his house, he said, that his wife is divorced, that, you should have dinner that day with him. And they said, you are, what's wrong with you? We are so busy, and wallahi, we are not, going to wait for your dinner. because we are traveling, okay? And this person, resolved, okay, really to divorce his wife. And when he was told about it, he said to them, okay, wait for me, wait for a while. And he went inside his home and he brought, his clash, the gun. And he said, by Allah, you will take the dinner, okay? Because I'm not going to divorce my wife for you, okay? And this is a problem, no doubt it's a foolishness that a person would do such thing, because he might put himself in a problem. If some ulama, they would look into his intention. If he intended, to make it like an oath, like billahi alaik, stay for dinner, or okay, then they would look into that and they would say to him he should avoid such, oaths, because if one wants to make an oath, he should make it by Allah, not by divorcing his wife or something, okay? And some ulama, they would say that such thing is a divorce and he should be careful. So it depends on sometimes it's a customary thing that the people started to say without meaning, his wife is divorced, more than take it like swearing and an oath. And the ulama, they said a person should expiate for it as halif. And maybe inshallah we can discuss it in more details if you like, inshallah, next week.
My last question, Sheikh. We read now, and if an animal's skin is tanned, it becomes pure. Does it apply to all the edible animal only, or for example, khinzir also?
No, the khinzir is, impure, okay? It's impurity, and najasa is the ulama, they say it's najasa mughallaba, okay, and cannot be at all, turned into pure substance. Dogs also. And
what about lion and things like that? Lion.
Yeah, the ulama, they said it would actually, there's actually a difference of opinion with regard to the animals that are forbidden to eat. Mentioned there, they are impure, okay? Like, for example, the lion, tigers, the, alligators, crocodiles, and, snakes. And some ulama, they say, they say it is, when it is tanned, it can be used. And some of them actually, they say it should not be used. There is a details about it if you want the evidences. And to my knowledge, that, with the exception of, the pigs, and the dogs, the others, could be, could be used when it is tanned. And Allah knows best. Okay.
Jazakallah khair. Jazakumullah khair.
Any more questions, brothers?
Yes, Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. This regarding this, in case of some message or something like that, in case of this will be considered the first divorce. So
yes.
So even then, it is discouraged in the sense like, or what will be the consequences, or why it is like it becomes a habit, and then
the problem with the people, Allah musta'an, it became very easy on their tongues to say talaq, okay? Because and that's why Umar at his time, when the people started to say the 3 talaqs at one time at once, he said, we will pass it on them, and we will make his wife, we will make that divorce as irrevocable divorce. While, at the time of Abu Bakr and the time of Prophet, if anyone, for example, says to his wife, you are divorced, you are divorced, you are divorced, it won't be regarded irrevocable. To be regarded once, okay? And some ulama, when they looked at these and they said, the people who would get used to swear in talaq, in divorce, they should be reprimanded and scolded, and they should be actually, ta'zir should be done on them. Ta'zir is to punish them, but it's not specific punishment, okay, due to such thing, because this is, it's not a play or amusement. Your wife is not something to play with. This is a marriage. If a person would say this thing and it turned that his wife is divorced in reality, and he is coming onto her and living with her without renewing the marriage contract, he's doing zina, may Allah says. Then how could such marriage would be blessed? And Allah knows best. This is the problem that the people are encountering nowadays, due to they become so it became so easy to them to say things without thinking about what they say. Okay, like the zihar, الظهار as in Surah Al-Mujadila.
Yeah.
Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made it, a horrible thing to be said. And the divorce is something a person should be careful, and it is incumbent upon the people of knowledge and the students of knowledge, when they sit with the people in a nice manner, to tackle these issues, because it's widespread in the ummah. Maybe you hear it sometimes 3 times, 4 times outside when you go out to the shops. Allah understand. You find someone calling another person and he says, alayhi talaq. It's a problem. And in some countries, it is like saying, salam alaikum, astaghfirullah. Okay? It is that thing. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says. More questions? Any more questions, brothers? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you for your attentive listening. And may He subhanahu wa ta'ala make our efforts sincerely for His sake and in conformity to the Sunnah. Hope, inshallah, to see you next week on Friday, inshallah, in our tafsir class. اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما يا رب العالمين. اللهم إنا نعوذ برضاك من سخطك وبمعافاتك من عقوبتك وبك منك لا نحصي ثناء عليك أنت كما أثنيت على نفسك. وصلى الله على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين. والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.